Hey, what's going on, everybody? I can't believe that it's already Wednesday. It seems like Wednesday was like yesterday, and now it's Wednesday again. It's like, holy smoke, 2 weeks are flying by. But
Like a
I
month
was,
ago.
yeah, right. But it's cool. I like it, I like being here, like hanging out with you guys virtually, hanging out. Yeah, it's 5:31, and there's just a handful of us here, which is kind of unusual, but there'll probably be some late comers, and we got a good group here anyway. I mean, it's not like the five of us can't handle this thing, right?
We've got a quorum.
We got a quorum, we can make decisions and stuff. We can still fix the world, even with the five of us. So anyway, if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome to the Facebook Pros live stream. We do this here on Facebook every Wednesday evening, 5:30 Pacific time, and just talk about shower doors, glass biz, different stuff like that. It's always a lot of fun. Get a lot of regulars and some irregulars, so that's pretty cool too. So anyway, I don't know if anybody has a particular topic that you're interested in bringing up, a question, or just maybe a challenge that you're having or something. Want the team here to see if you can help problem solve.
So I have two quick questions, I guess.
All right.
The first question is, do any of you guys use like the black vinyls that FHC sells, whether it be the sweep, I guess most importantly, the sweeps, the bottom sweeps, the black bottom sweeps?
I didn't even know they existed, Brian.
Okay, so that's a no.
Oh,
So they do exist. They offer a bottom sweep for the doors. They also offer like a hard H, like a strike, and then a soft leg sweep that I guess it slips over the edge of the glass. Typically, I guess it's used on like the hinge side. It's got kind of like the soft Y leg. I've been having issues lately with the bottom sweeps have been tearing. The fins have been tearing off, and it seems that they're not tearing off so much at the ends of the door, but almost like 2 or 3 inches in, they're starting to separate from the hard plastic. And I've been having to do, quite a few go backs to replace these things. And I mean, I'm curious, like, do you guys ever use anything like a baby oil or some type of lubricant to help these things kind of break in and prevent this from happening? It seems to only be happening on the black, not the clears. So I don't know if it's something different in the material, that it's not as forgiving and as pliable. I don't know.
Yeah, the only time I've ever used that was when I did one of those grid type enclosures. I mean, that it just made sense to use it there. And I'm trying to think of what other instance, I would really prefer to use something like that.
Right.
Where are you using them?
So the only times that I'll really use them, the only times I'll use them is if I do a shower, obviously in black hardware with bottom channel, because it just kind of carries that line.
Yeah.
And, I think it gives it a sharp look. But I mean, if I'm going to continue to have this type of problem, I will stop using them. Luckily for me, the go backs that I've had lately have all been pretty local to me. I would definitely second guess using it on a shower that's, a half hour or more away. But I mean, I think it gives it a sharp look, but then it's, is is the look worth the chance of me having to go back and replace this thing? But I didn't know if there was any kind of, trick or I don't know, any kind of way to help prevent this. I mean, a couple times I've taken the sweep saver and I've trimmed, I've trimmed off. So it's the sweep is kind of just touching that threshold, and not really even folding under. And it seems to still be happening. Wow. Yeah. So there's real minimal pressure on it. But they seem to still be splitting. And
how quickly is this happening?
Pretty quickly.
Within the first 30 days or something?
Within the first 30 days, within a month. Yeah, within a month. I mean, the last customer said, it happened right away after you left. And, it's like, okay, but you called me a month later. So I'm saying within, 30 days.
But still,
What's FHC say?
What's that?
I have not reached out to them regarding this yet. I intend to. But I figured I'd bring it to the pros first.
Yeah. I've never used the black, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't used it either. Anytime I have a problem with the sweeps, I call it scissoring, where the soft vinyl scissors off.
Okay.
I just cut it off
and leave it off.
That's awesome. I've never had a problem with a leak because if it's that low to the threshold, then the door is low enough that with the angle on the threshold, it's not going to leak. I've never had a leaking issue that I know of.
Right. Okay. All right.
I just cut it off. I don't have a sweep saver, whatever. I know what you're talking about. I don't have one. I just simply cut it off flush.
Okay. All right.
I'll do that a lot of times too. I mean, I think that bottom door sweep really is that drip edge that does all the work, just diverting the water back in. And I don't know really how much those little legs hanging down really do to keep water in, but that shouldn't be happening. I mean, edge seal like that should last a year at least, I would say. I would talk to Danny Donahue over there at FHC and let him know you're having that issue. I wonder if
I'll have to give him a call. Yeah. The second question is, do any of you guys have issues? I've also had this twice in the past, I don't know, 5 weeks or so, where it was a door notch panel return and all clamps, and the bottom clamps are somehow getting water out and through. I've gone back, I've taken the clamps apart, filled the finger notch with silicone, enough to the point that when I put the clamp back together, that the silicone is coming out the hole. So I know it's in there pretty good. Putting it back together, cranking on it pretty tight with a screwdriver, wiping all the excess caulking away, and then re-caulking around the bottom of the clamp where it meets the sill, and still getting some water out. And I'm totally baffled as to why that's happening, and what I can do to help prevent that. Because again, it's that time and labor in the return visit where now I start to eat into my profit of the original install. And I don't know, it's just one of those things. I mean, I've started filling in all my clamps on the bottom. I've started filling in with silicone, so I hopefully don't have this issue occurring in the future. But like I said, like there's been a couple times where I've gone back, I've filled them up with silicone, made sure they were, thought I made sure that they were sealed up good. And, a couple days, maybe a week later, I'm getting a call saying, hey, we're still getting water out of this thing. And the water's like pooling up like a tiny little puddle right outside the clamp, like right almost in front of it or just off to the side. Do you guys have you had this issue? If you have you found like a surefire preventative?
When you go back, are you, after they've said that they've got water out of it, are you drying up the water somehow?
Yes. Yeah. Drying up the water, taking the clamp apart, cleaning all the gaskets with rubbing alcohol, cleaning the glass around where the clamp's going to be mounted, filling it with silicone, putting it back together, and by all appearances, and from what I think I've just done, I have a high level of confidence when I walk out that door, and then I get the phone call again or the text message saying, "Hey, look,"
Right.
and I'm completely baffled as to, once I go back and I make sure that it's filled up with silicone and everything like that, like how is the water getting in there? And not only that, but like, how is so much getting in and getting through all the silicone that I've added that it's now coming out on the other side?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's wet enough where you didn't get it dry somehow, because obviously water and silicone don't like each other, and the water wins every time. So
right.
So the silicone's not going to stick if it's wet at all. I wonder if you can spray denatured on it to dry it out. I don't know.
I've applied the denature with like a paper towel. I mean, it's I don't know. Like, I don't know. I got no more tricks in my bag.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this. Do you ever run a little bead of silicone across the top of the clamp to the glass?
That's what I do.
I usually don't. I have before. In these cases, in the one case I did, I went actually all the way around the inside of the clamp. I don't always do it because I don't like the look of it. When you're standing outside the shower, you can see that back edge of that bead. And I almost feel like at that point, you're better off adding a bead to the front of the clamp too, to kind of, camouflage it a little bit. So typically I don't, though. No.
We do that. We run that small bead of caulk around the edge on the inside. And I understand what you're saying, Brian, about that look. And we don't use a lot of clamps. We use a lot of channel, but when here recently, I have been using clamps just because that's what the customer is wanting. But knock on wood, we haven't had that leak, but we do seal that. We do seal that inside.
And then do you shoot a bead on the outside as well, or just the inside?
Just the inside.
Okay.
And on the base, all around the base, but we don't, just on the inside. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you fill up your finger notch with silicone as well?
No.
Okay.
We do not.
Okay.
So actually, this is a good question for Chris, since you don't use silicone most of the time.
Yeah.
Do you have water that comes out through the clamp, the clip?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Probably, yeah. Because it's a place where water, can get in and come through. It's just so as you know, what I do is I educate my customers the fact that like water's probably going to come out. So that being said, it's like I still get that call, from time to time. It's like, hey, water's getting out, and then and I've already had this conversation right with them, but it happens infrequently enough to where it's like I'll just say, okay, how's tomorrow, or how's Thursday, whatever, and don't use the shower for 24 hours, okay? Make sure that it's dry before I come. And then I'll go back out there, and then I'll have to talk with them again. Hey, it's like I said, they're just not watertight. I'll add a little silicone here, and that, but I can't promise you that's going to do it. And then I usually tell people, look, if you're getting a cup of water coming out, that's not really acceptable. If you're getting like tablespoons of water, that's normal. I mean, and that's what I really believe. I really believe that a frameless shower enclosure, I mean, if you're using that in a situation where a small amount of water getting out is not going to hurt anything. I mean, you're not going to use a frameless shower enclosure where you've got carpet installed. You know, you're not going to install a frameless shower enclosure next to drywall. I mean, if that's the situation, I just won't do it. It's like, oh yeah, we can't do this here. You got drywall, you got carpet, you know, in your bathroom, whatever, you know. I mean, it's not the right circumstance. So I'll go out. I don't argue with them, you know, but I'll go out, say, yeah, you know, and then I squirt some silicone in there, you know, and I do have to use some from time to time. And, you know, depending on the situation, you know, I'll just look at it and be like, oh man, this is a situation where a ton of water is going to get out of here. You know, if I don't add silicone, I'm going to have to do that. But it's just like having that talk, and it's like, yeah, that's a good place for water to get through that little clamp thing, because it's pretty hard to waterproof that, and especially if the pitch of the curb isn't right. You know, if it's flat, water's going to pool up, and I'm suspicious, Brian, that's probably what's happening to you. It's like you've got a curb that's not pitched, water's just dripping down, pooling up. You know, where water pools, it's going to find a way to get through there, and there's just not much you can do about that.
Yeah, it just seems strange to me that, you know, water being, you know, the taking the path, right, of least resistance. So that path in and through that clip is certainly not the one of least resistance, but yet that seems to be where it's going, and it's just I don't know, it's it is what it is. I mean, I haven't gotten a call back, you know, from the last one, so
Good.
I guess I got it, but I don't know.
They'll call you in a month. It's
Yeah, they'll probably call me tomorrow morning, right?
That's right.
Do they have
if they're not texting me right now?
right? Do they have a shower head or a hand sprayer that's spraying onto it? Does you know?
They have a shower head that's pointed in that direction. But when the shower's on, the individual in the shower would be in between that shower head and that clamp. Yeah.
Right.
Brian, just out of curiosity, you're on the notch, the finger notch. You're filling that whole thing up with silicone and then, you know, marrying up the clamp.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
We've never done that.
Yeah, you know, and I'm not sure that's the best idea, you know, because if you fill that hole up with silicone, then the water definitely has no place to go except through, if it can get through. And it was like Brian was saying, you know, if that's not completely dry when you caulk, it's not going to stick, you know, and it would have to stick, you know, all the way around, you know, the kind of the circumference of that finger notch,
right,
and completely seal it. And if it's not, it's going to fall on top of that silicone and go out.
It'll find someplace out. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, whereas what Mike's talking about, you know, if you run a bead of silicone around the inside, yeah, it looks like crap, but that's why you don't use silicone, right? It's like, you know, I mean, and just have that talk with the customer. It's like, look, I can put what I'll normally do. I've probably said this before, you know, but, you know, I'll usually get to that point in the job where everything's done except the caulking. And I'll call the customer and say, okay, hey, take a look, you know, wow, yeah, looks great. How much caulking do you want me to do here? That's really the question I'll ask. How much caulking do you want me to do here? Because here's the thing, you know, and then I give them the spiel, you know. Caulking, you know, doesn't look good, you know. I mean, no matter how well you do it, right? In 3 months, it's going to start to turn yellow or whatever, you know what I mean? It's going to get all the soap scum. So that's usually the point where I'll say, hey, you know, do you want me to caulk this? And a lot of times they'll say no. And if they say no, I'm pretty much off the hook, right? I mean, they really can't call me next week and say, well, you know, sometimes if it's like, oh yeah, hey, there's a ton of water coming out. It's like, okay, we'll put some caulking in there. But man, it's kind of a weird conversation to have. It seems like just weird. I know, because it was weird for me when I started. Now it's like second nature, right? Because I've had it so many times. But at first I was a little sheepish about saying it, but it's funny, if you ask people, a lot of times they'll be like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah, man, I don't really, if we don't have to use it, I don't want to,
Mm.
and then
I like your approach though.
it's an honest, it's an honest
right.
approach, I'm not saying, hey, I'm not lazy, it's like, I'm willing to do all the caulking you want. I'll caulk the whole thing, inside and out, so don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to get out of doing work. I'm just trying, I want to give you the opportunity, to like preserve the beauty of what you got going on right here. Cause it's nice,
Yeah, I think that's the right approach, because you're giving them the option to say, look, it's not going to look as good as it does now.
Yeah.
And in the future, it's going to yellow. And so it's going to not look as good as it does now. I can do it either way, but there are consequences of that. It might leak. It's not an aquarium. Yeah. I like it. I might try that.
Give it a try.
You might have a convert. I don't know. We'll see.
Like I say, it's weird at first. It seems like, yeah, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like almost like it's just, it's just a weird conversation to have. But it becomes more natural as you do it, because really, as you talk through it, everything you're saying makes perfect common sense.
Mm-hmm.
None of it is like deceptive in any way or anything like that, And for me, since I'm just a, one man show, it's like, it's pretty easy for me to go back if I need to. I've got that built in, to my model. So it's like, so a lot of times say, look, I'll be happy to come back and caulk if you're if you're not satisfied, if it's not containing enough water.
Mm-hmm.
So and I do, and I do it quickly. I mean, when they call me, I'm like, I make them the priority, because service after the sale is a big deal for me.
Yeah.
That's how I get my referrals. So yeah, that's the thing, and not everybody can do that. See, that's something that I've got going for me that everybody doesn't. If you've got a big team, if you've got 10 trucks going out, it's hard, to tell people, oh yeah, we'll just come back out.
Mm-hmm.
And or if you cover like a big geographical location, stuff like that. But it's one option. Yeah. Well, hey, we Dana Higginbotham is in the chat. He always comes like to the page and then puts stuff in the chat. But he's saying that if you fill the U-knots completely with silicone, it will not dry. We just silicone under the glass at the clip and just over the screw head, so it will dry fast. He makes a good point. I mean, if you caulk that and close it and it's airtight, the silicone really won't set up. It needs air, and moisture to set up. So that's a good point. I hadn't really ever thought of it that way.
Yeah, that is a good point.
There was also somebody had suggested a topic. It was Mike Aguilar said, how do you handle a customer that's in the middle of a remodel, but they want you to come out anyway for an estimate? After giving a phone quote or a virtual estimate via Zoom, whatever, they have you come out and still have to think about the pricing. How do you handle that?
You mean the shower's not completely tiled and they're not ready for a measure?
No, they're
or
saying,
is it done?
They say, I think that it's ready. I think that it's ready for measure, but you've given them an online quote over the phone, whatever, and they would still want you to come out and meet with them and you have a consultation. And then you have this consultation. They're like, okay, well, we'll get back to you. We've got some other quotes, right? That sort of thing. How do you handle something like that?
You know what? I've been fortunate that I've always looked at that situation as you're kind of consulting and educating. And so you always say, well, let's go out. We're going to try to nip any issues, that might exist up front. And I found that good, I guess, that good faith effort to try to educate them has resulted in more wins than losses. Yeah, there's the occasional one that you're not going to get, and they're going to do the old, well, I'll go to Lowe's or I found somebody cheaper. But at the same time, I felt like we have won more of those than we've lost by a big percentage. Probably 95% of the times. I always tell people, call me if you're confused as to what to do. Let's get it right on the front end. And that seems to have worked. I guess it's a cost of doing business. Another way of saying it.
I tend to lean that way too. I call me old school. I want to look them in the eye,
Yeah.
There's different ways that you can take this. And again, I'm old school, so this opinion doesn't necessarily hit everybody, but if they've already got a quote from me and they're asking me to come take a look, then I'm going to jump on it. And here's why. I always say that online or on the telephone, I look just like every other contractor out there. When I get in front of them face to face, that's where I shine. That's where I have more success selling a job, because I have the opportunity to answer questions, to show them that I do know what I'm talking about, to address issues that I might see, to offer solutions, whatever it happens to be. But I have the ability to be a human standing in front of them, and I don't like the word selling, but I have the ability to sell without looking like everybody else, because it's just a number on a page otherwise. I know that's not a popular opinion with the bid clips thing. I have bid clips and use it, try to anyway. But it is what it is. I want to talk to them face to face. If they're asking me after they already have a quote, there's got to be a reason why. Maybe they're just trying to vet me in conjunction with somebody else. I don't know.
No, I think that's a great answer, Brian. Actually, there's nothing wrong with that approach. It's actually, like you say, it's kind of the old school approach. And I think that's probably a pretty common way. I think most contractors, especially, shops of any size, are used to just going out and giving free estimates on site. Everybody's configured a little bit differently. If you don't have the manpower to do that, you have to find some other more creative way to do that. Big Clips is a great tool for that. I also use that. But yeah, it's a great answer. Can't argue with that. How about you guys? What about the rest of you? What are your policies?
I try to do most of my sales online before I even get out there. I do offer, the choice. If you'd like to send me some rough dimensions and a few pictures, I can give you a pretty accurate quote over the telephone, accompanied with, pictures of past jobs that we've done in the same design layout. If you tell me what hardware color you're looking to use, I can, send a photo with that color hardware, so you can really get an idea of what your finished product will look like. Depending on location and if it's a repeat customer or not, I'll also offer, the availability and opportunity for me to go out and take a look for a consultation fee that is deductible off the final bill if you choose to use us for the job. Most people are understanding about it. There are a few people that are not, and I've explained to people before, listen, you're a half hour away from me. if I'm going to put in some time and spend time with you, you know, I could be there a half hour, 40 minutes, and then a half hour back. I'm an hour and a half, you know, into my time and on the job that I may not even have yet. So, you know, if you're comfortable with it, you know, I'll come out, you know, but otherwise, if you think you're able to send me the pictures that I need and give me rough dimensions, I can give you an accurate quote over the telephone. And it usually seems to work that they'll send the pictures and the sizes, the quote is given, the appointment's made to go out and take final measurements. And I will always remind people 2 days or 3 days prior to me going out, you know, just want to confirm our appointment for, you know, Tuesday at 3 o'clock. You know, what's your email? I want to confirm I have your email so I can send the invoice, you know, reminding you that I will need to collect a 50% deposit at the time of final measurements. And it usually, you know, if I find that if I do it as a friendly reminder in that way, that if there was any consideration of not giving me that deposit, you know, to like pull one over on me, that I kind of squash it. And it seems to work for me most of the time, certainly not all of the time, though.
I agree with both Brian's. Okay. All right. So our average jobs are probably more than 20 minutes away. And so 30 minutes is kind of normal. But anything that's going to be far away for us, whatever that is, we do pre-quote and make it very clear to the customer up front that, you know, we pre-quote because of the distance involved. And if they feel comfortable with the pricing, we will be happy to come out and, you know, take care of their project for them. So.
Why is Star Trek on?
Oh my gosh, really? I'm muted.
No.
Yeah. Those are good answers, you know, and you know, Brian Schwartz, you know, you're like one guy thing like me, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have another guy with me, but for the most part, yeah, small.
So you're on every installation, in other words.
Basically.
Yeah. So I mean, when you have a situation like that, it's different than having a cruise. You
sure.
know, and it's different for your customers too. I mean, your customers expect, I don't want to say they expect less, really they expect more in one way, but it's easier for them to manage their expectations about what you're able to do, knowing that like, hey, it's me and my wife, you know, we're running this business. There's only one of me and I can't clone myself. So it's like, I really can't go out and just give free quotes to everybody on site. There's just no possible way. I would have to raise my prices for all my other customers. And that's a thing that people don't always take into account. And it's good to educate them about that. It's like, I keep my prices lower by not chasing my tail all day long. If I was out running around trying to get business, you know, and losing all those bids, how much would I have to charge you to make up for that? So think about that. You know, I'm saving you money by not doing that. You know, if you're a big company, you've got people that you can, send out to do that. Maybe people who are on salary and, you know, they can go to 10 jobs a day and give quotes. But so there's that. So that's always an issue. You know, it's like, how is your business configured? You know, how big are you? You know, what type of work do you do? And people are pretty understanding if you're just honest with them about it. You know, I give online quotes. I charge a fee to go to give an on-site quote, but I credit that towards the invoice. So it's like, hey, you know, you're gonna have to pay me to come out. If you decide to go with somebody else, you have to pay the fee. If you go with us, that's included. You know, it's part of the price of you know, getting the measurements. So, so like my direct answer to Mike's question is that's how I deal with that. If I give somebody a quote and they say, hey, I still want you to come out. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll come out, but there's this fee. We charge $200, because like you say, it's like what, 2.5 hours or something, or an hour and a half at least, to go. And then there's all the opportunities lost during that time. So it's like $200 really doesn't even cover my time to go do a quote. So it's actually like a discounted of my time if they don't go with me, So, but I'm willing to do that. And then I just make sure that they understand that, and then sometimes they're good with that. It's worth the $200 for the peace of mind, and usually, close the deal. So that's how I handle that. Well, and I saw that Ellington posted something to the chat room. He was asking us about turnaround times. He wants to know if the turnaround on glass are the same, or if it's getting better, or are there still shortages? What are you guys experiencing as far as ordering your glass?
Our turnaround times have gotten slightly better. We were at like 4 weeks just to get 3/8, shower glass. It's down pretty consistently 2 weeks.
So it's taking you 2 weeks to take delivery of your glass?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't have these temporers right around the corner like some of you guys.
Right.
Spoiled about 3 days.
Yeah, and
Wow.
we've never had it good. Good was the good days was when I could place an order, say on Monday before 1 o'clock, and the glass would be in my shop the following Tuesday. That was the best ever. Now, and then when COVID hit, but the year after, and so last year, there was 4 weeks go by, 4 and 5 weeks, because of tempering facilities. I only have 2 choices. We're so backed up, but now they've got it down to about 2 weeks. And we have a lot of customers who are time sensitive. They're builders, and these houses are dependent on the enclosure being into close. And it seems like we're always up against a deadline. Mike, get that thing in by Friday. Can you get in by Friday? I'm receiving the door Wednesday afternoon, or Thursday morning, and checking it out, making sure everything's okay, and trying to schedule installs so that they can meet their closing date. It's frustrating as hell to do that. So,
How far away is your fabricator?
about an hour and 20 minutes. Both I have 2 that I can get. Both are about an hour and 20 minutes away. And I have gone up to pick the glass up. But if you think about, the time you pay a guy, the fuel, et cetera, to go up and get it, it's just, that's how we've had to adapt though,
Your customer would have to be willing to pay that cost to get it done fast, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
And Mike, how many times a week do the suppliers deliver to you? Like, is it once a week typically?
Three.
Oh, wow.
I get 3 deliveries a week from my glass wholesalers. My primary shower door guy, those delivers on Wednesdays. So if I want to be truthful, Brian, that answer is once a week. But if in a pinch, I have another vendor that delivers to me on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but their pricing is a little bit too strong. So, I just have to set expectations in customers' minds, and my builders kind of have an idea that, hey, it's 2 weeks to get the glass, get me on the schedule. It's probably a 3-week turnaround. So
yeah, that's about what I tell people, between 2 and 3 weeks. My glass is usually getting fabricated and ready for me in 10 to 14 days. I just started using another supplier where their turnaround time is actually like 8 days, 9 days. So they've been able to get me glass a little quicker. I put in a couple orders with them to check the quality and, see what the product was like before I, commit to them too strongly. But the turnaround time was great, and the pricing was a little better. The energy surcharge was, about half of what my normal supplier is. So, on a big shower, that could be, $300-400.
this is a general question, all you guys. What are some of the energy surcharges you're seeing? My vendors who are literally an hour apart, so they're basically the same, 20.25%.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm at 18, and the other supplier I just started using is around 9. So I mean,
Oh.
it's a substantial difference, but
Huge.
18 is what I've been used to lately.
So the question is are they calling it an energy surcharge or just a surcharge? The reason I
Energy
ask is,
surcharge.
and Brad knows what I'm getting ready to say, we use Cardinal pretty much exclusively. And I think they used to call it an energy surcharge, which it doesn't, you probably know, has more to do with, I think, the propane used to fire the cupola, and everybody used to think it was for the trucks driving. But anyway, the Cardinal has switched from calling it an energy surcharge to just a surcharge. And so they're charging that surcharge not only on just the glass, which is an energy surcharge, they're charging it on the whole order. Have you noticed that, Brad?
Yep. Yep.
So
Oldcastle does the same thing. It's the whole
okay.
order.
And so it's a 9% surcharge. So it may be equal to about an 18% energy surcharge on the glass alone. I don't know. I haven't checked it, but nuance, maybe. More money, probably.
I need to check that because my understanding is we're getting charged with Oldcastle about 18% for the whole order, and I'll have to double check that.
Yeah, and I should clarify. I get my hardware and everything through Cardinal as well. So it includes the hardware as well. So it's not just the glass.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what our surcharge is. I'm thinking 12, 13%. What is it, Tim?
For Oldcastle?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but it did go down. I know that.
Yeah, it went down a little bit recently.
Like half a percent.
Yeah, something like that. It wasn't a bunch, but yeah, I don't really pay
It's
that
higher
much
than that.
attention to that. Maybe I should.
But back to ordering glass, I just put an order in today, and I'll have it on Monday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're pretty
good.
quick. I mean, we've got, how many tempering plants do we have? Like 3 or 4 in our area?
We have US, Oldcastle, Glass Fab. I think we have, isn't Hard Tongue up there someplace?
Probably. So it's pretty competitive in our area. There's a lot of glass flying around, I can't imagine having to wait like weeks to take delivery of the glass. Cause I mean,
Yeah.
wow, something comes in and it's wrong. That
Then you gotta wait for it.
sucks.
Yep, that's hard.
So then you got another 4 weeks waiting for them to see if they're going to make it right. And what if they make it wrong
Well,
again?
Yeah, they usually put you to the front of the line. At least Cardinal does.
Yeah, I'm sure. Wow.
So it's
I've
quicker.
lived those headaches for years, guys.
Yeah, because even me, like waiting a week to get something and getting it wrong, and then having to wait another week, and then getting it wrong again. You know how that happens. It's like they won't make a mistake at all, and they'll make the same piece of glass wrong 5 times.
Yeah.
And like,
I've got you beat on that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then when I did get it right, I had screwed up the height a little bit, so I reordered it. And it was a notch panel on set up onto the vanity. And the back wall was not plumb. And they couldn't read my drawing, and they kept making it wrong. Then they make it right. It comes in the other day, put it on the table, checked it all, and thought it was great. And I thought, oh, better look for scratches. Right at eye level. There's a scratch. So I think this glass panels have made 8 times.
Wow.
And one on my dime. But
You sure they actually remade those remakes?
The first time they didn't put, I don't use the finger notch. I use the pyramid one.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
And it came in, it was sitting in my shop, and I walked by and looked at it and I go, one is not deep enough. So I called them, they remade it. And then the driver brought it back to the shop. And I just happened to pull up when he was out there. And I says, you brought me back the same piece of glass. And I go, wait a minute, it's still sitting in the shop. So they made it wrong a second time.
They made it wrong exactly the same way, huh?
Same way. And then they couldn't. So this thing the wall was out of square. So I tell them what size to cut the piece of glass, top and bottom. And then when they cut the notch out, the part that sits onto the vanity is the right width. Well, they kept doing it all wrong. And even the driver took it back and showed them what they were doing wrong. After,
Well, I guess you get the award. You're the winner.
yeah,
Yeah. Feel your pain, man. That's for sure.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's hard to talk to a customer about that.
Yeah.
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 Well, this isn't shower door related, but I ordered these half-inch tempered laminated panels for a skylight, and they're big and they've got notches in them. And so I sent the order over, and I was waiting for a confirmation, or they already quoted it. Waiting for the confirmation, no confirmation, so I call. And says, oh, we can't find that PO, but I'll look for it and call you back. No phone calls, so I call again. Well, can you resend it? So I resend it, and then they call me back and they're squawking about it's low E with notches and how it's going to come out. I says, you already made some big panels already, and they came out just fine. So they're going to make it. So they give me a date of the 12th, August 12th. It wasn't on the truck. It wasn't on the truck the next day, so I finally called. And they said, oh, it's going to be Thursday. No glass Thursday. Called again. Where is it? Let me check. And she actually calls back and says, oh, it's going to be on Tuesday's truck. So I tell my contractor, this is 30 miles away down in Big Sur. Once you get down there, you got to go up and over the mountain. No glass. And so, I called my driver in the morning and I says, when are you going to be here? He goes, I don't have your glass. They never even started making it. But now it's being made. But I mean, talk about
Makes me mad just hearing it.
nerve-wracking.
Sounds like you're using one of our suppliers
All right.
out of Atlanta.
I mean, I've never had this trouble,
Yeah.
And I said,
AIG.
I don't know what you guys are doing, but to have your gal that answers your phone call you back, say it's going to be on the truck, and it's not. It's just like, and even my driver went to the laminating department to look around. He goes, I didn't even see if he knew what it looked like, because he took the templates back. It's not there. So
yeah, I find it like when my shower door glass gets done fast. I mean, super fast.
oh yeah.
But if I order anything else, it's like not fast. So it's like, so the shower door department is like on it, and they're just taking care of me, and which is a great argument for like not doing anything other than shower doors, because
I mean, as a contractor, I do work for, because normally I won't go to Big Sur. I have better things to do.
yeah, and I normally don't do anything. Well, I normally don't do anything but shower doors. I have customer who I've done multiple showers for. Nice people. So they're like, oh, yeah, let me show you my wine room. It's like, oh, yeah, I've got this wine room. It's under the stairs, like people do.
Yeah.
And I want to put, insulated unit in here. I was like, will you do it? I'm like, yeah, existing customer. I mean, I've got to, feel like I've got to accommodate them, right? So it's this, weird like trapezoid shaped thing, and so measure it, twice, 3 times, make a template. And what I did was, it's not, I had no square corners. So I did it like a mirror, I put an X in the middle and mapped it out like that.
Yeah.
So like that's, foolproof, right? So I sent it over and it was like, waited, I didn't hear anything back. And then finally they got back to me. Somebody calls me and they're like, so this drawing, is this like, are these the angles or are these the measurements? I don't know how they got angles, but I'm like, no, those are the dimensions. That's the actual dimensions of the glass. So, have them like, draw an X on there or cross on there and then measure over, and if all those numbers are right, it'll work. So then then somebody else called me and asked me the same thing, and I was like, no, I explained it again. So they did it. It took like weeks to get it. They finally got it to me. It's like, so I checked it and it's like, yeah, okay, all my math worked out. Got over there and I just had forgotten how long it takes to do everything that's not a shower door, right? It's like, oh my God, I'm cutting metal like aluminum stops. They've got to be all cut out, the miters all have to be, tits, So now we get them, man, they're all great, I had to have a buddy come and help me because it's too big, way too big for me to do by myself. Let's get all the metal put in there, run a bead of silicone, stick it in there. And it's like, oh, it won't go in this way. We have to come back out, stick the top in first, get it in there. It's like, oh man, it's like perfect. It fits perfectly. So we got all the, the inside stops cut, aluminum stops. So you got to, drill them, countersink them. It's black metal. So you got to like, take a Sharpie and mark all the ends and all the holes and paint the screws and all that, get it all put in, bam, cleaning it up. And it's like, it's awesome, and then, so then there's like this one little smudge, that we couldn't clean off. It's like,
Oh no.
Yeah, you guessed it. So it's like, oh crap, man, that's on the inside of the glass. I'm like, man, no good deed goes unpunished. That's what I think Brian said that earlier. No good deed goes unpunished, man. So I'm like, crap. Yeah, we're gonna have to replace this, So I left there. The customer gave me a call, left me a message. Hey, give me a call, before you reorder that. So I called up. He's like, hey, I was talking to my wife. And it's like, it's not that big of a deal. It's the wine room, and what, how about you give us a little discount for it, and we'll just live with it. I'm like, I would love to give you a discount. And it was really, he only asked for a couple $100 off, so it was like,
Nice.
Yeah, it's sometimes worth it.
It's way worth it, man. I mean, I would have because I realized, as I'm wrapping it up, that like, oh man, I mean, I didn't make any money on this. I mean, compared to a shower door, I mean, I would have been in for the money I charged them. I'd have been in and out and gone. And here, man, it's like,
yep,
it's a lot of work.
So that kind of brings something up. Okay, so customer, you give them a couple hundred discount, so you kind of lost a couple $100, and you shouldn't have. Well, okay, Brian knows that I'm buying from HMI currently. Well, kind of. We're now switching over, but I've had 5 pieces of glass that have like a little tiny chip on the edge, and we've been able to kind of polish them out, like do a quick sand and then polish. We've been able to fix 2 of them. And then 2 of them, I've had to pay a fabricator to run them through the machine so that we could do same day install. In other words, we discover the problem and we have to take care of it. And they charges $50 to do that, which is worth it to me.
It's a good deal.
And then, so actually, and not sure how we reserved the last one. I think we resolved the last one. I think we ended up having it edged also. So that's 150 out of my pocket that I shouldn't have to be paying our supplier. And that was HMI that I was talking about. And it's been a little frustrating. Today we installed a notch panel. The notch was cut just a little wrong, but it means that the return panel and the notch panel don't quite line up at the top quite right. You know, little stuff like that, it just burns you. And
That's why you use sleeve overs.
yeah, exactly. And I actually said, Christina, why did we do that? Well, it was travertine tile, and we kind of have a policy to use physical clamps because, you know, I just don't want to rely on the silicone on travertine. That's all. But I still, it's small enough of a shower, I would have been comfortable with sleeve overs and then put one clamp on the knee wall on the side, and I would have been happy. But, you know, so my question is, I mean, can you go back to maybe your supplier and say, man?
Yeah, you know,
Absolutely.
the funny thing is, because that's what, you know, the customer says, like, oh, yeah, you should go back, you know, and they should, you know, give you some money off. And it's like, yeah, well, here's how it really works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They'll remake that panel for me 5 times if they have to, but they're not going to give me a cent.
Right. Right.
And that's just, I mean, that's just the way they work. And it's crazy, you know, it's like what it would cost them to remake it. You know, I don't know, quite a bit, but it's just like, that's just, it's not, it's off the table.
Yep.
You know, which is weird, you know, but.
By the way, did you guys want to know what happened about that broken piece of glass?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So basically, they assured me they reviewed all the videos, and also the scans. Evidently, when they are tempering, they scan each piece as it goes in and out and all that kind of stuff. So evidently, this was pulled out to go back for being repaired. There might have been something wrong, maybe a chip or scratch or something. But they pulled it out of line to, I guess, polish. And when they got done with it, the guy told me they put it on the wrong cart for the ones that are tempered, or that are tempered. So it was assumed that it had been tempered. And he, you know, said he assures me that all other pieces were fine. It was nothing to do with the tempering of it. It was just a procedural problem. And that because of that, they did implement some other procedural methods to prevent any problems like that in the future. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wild.
Crazy though.
What's the chance that one piece broke on the truck?
On the truck.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
That's crazy.
It's almost like your guardian angel was watching over you.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's that, or maybe that's one reason it's pulled out. There was something cut. I don't know. I have no idea. You know what I mean? It's just, I have no idea. But you're right. I mean, I'm glad that it didn't get installed that way.
Yeah.
Wow.
But your tempered glass detector is on the way, right?
It is on the way.
Yeah.
Might take a couple weeks, you know, coming from England, but we'll try it out.
I got mine working.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea, man, to have something like that. Those things are.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I've had a few customers through the years say, how do I know if it's tempered? You know, and I never really knew the polarized glass method or anything like that. But I can now honestly say I have a piece of equipment that can actually detect whether it's been tempered or not. You know, so we have double strength glass and other types of glass in our shop that, you know, you don't know sometimes if it gets put in the wrong spot, you don't know if it's tempered or not. It's probably good to have a detector for that. So
Absolutely.
or the occasional window that we don't really do much anymore, but yeah.
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 Well, good. Sounds like a happy ending.
Yeah. Yeah.
They all
yeah.
live happily ever after.
Sure.
Well, all right, everybody. Great talk. Thanks for
All right.
showing up. And
Thank you, Chris.
yeah, you bet. Let's try it again next Wednesday, okay?
All right.
So
Sounds
right.
good. Good night,
All right,
everybody.
see you guys.
Good evening.